Hey, what's up, gals, guys, and gear geeks? Today we're going to be looking at how you can modernize or even upgrade your vintage Strat without having to really change anything about the woodwork, drill, or anything, which I did not want to do. So, my name is Jack, and I still have a serious case of tuner's gas. So the thought behind this video was how I could take my 1956 reissue Fender Strat and modernize the tuning heads, because it came with these kind of vintage tuner heads, and a lot of people have said that they're a lot easier to restring. I personally didn't think so. I found it actually harder than just regular normal tuning heads, and sometimes I felt that they were a bit sort of like wobbly, especially around here, and I thought just for tuning stability I'd want to upgrade them. I've upgraded most of my guitars to locking tuner heads, and I find them just, it's a huge time saver, first of all, if I can say the word. And I think they're a lot better for tuning stability. So that's my personal opinion. Please add any insulting comments if you think that traditional tuning heads are the best in the world. That's fine. That's your opinion. I prefer the locking tuner heads. So that's me. So my biggest challenge was actually finding tuner heads that would fit this kind of guitar, because if I turn it around here, you can see it had the inline tuning heads. Sorry, that goes up here. And they were all in line. And finding locking tuning heads in this kind of style is actually really difficult. I was looking for a long time. Maybe in the States it's easier. I live in Germany. I went to Thomann several times. I couldn't get anything. And the only thing that I could initially find that was in an inline tuning head was this one from Sperzel. And I've used Sperzel before, or Sperzel, I suppose the German pronunciation is. And they're really good. I like them. I've used them on another guitar, but that's the dog walking through if you hear clicking. The only problem was, as soon as I got them, I thought, they look a bit big. And I put it in the hole and saw, oh, wow, that's kind of a problem. Yeah, so I would have had to have drilled a hole to make this bigger for it to fit through. And then I noticed another challenge, and that is this black little peg that sticks out. And that certainly does not line up with the already drilled hole. It looks like it might line up from there, but it doesn't, believe me. And so that would have been another little hole I would have had to have drilled, and then sealed it down from the top using sort of a nut. I really did not want to do that. I did not want to cosmetically change the guitar whatsoever, because I might want to put the traditional ones back, or I might, if I ever sell the guitar, I'd obviously remove the better tuners and put the original ones back on, so I didn't want to change anything or drill anything on the guitar whatsoever. So I finally stumbled upon these little beauties, and these are Gotoh, I suppose, is Gotoh tuners, and as you might be able to see, they're the exact same style, so they match that inline look, and they're locking heads, which I thought, well, as soon as I saw them, I thought, wow, perfect, exactly what I've been looking for. I hope these line up the way they should. So I just unboxed these. So it's the Gotoh machine heads, and as you can see on the back, it has that sort of traditional look, lock and unlock. And also, another thing I noticed, some of them, wait, I'll take two that are exactly the same. So these are the two end pieces, because they have that shape, and one of them has a green sticker on it, the other one does not. And actually, I did not know this. I had to look it up. I'm not an encyclopedia of knowledge, I'm afraid to say. But if you read more, then you learn things. Anyway, I read that the green dot ones are actually ones that have a smaller radius on the actual hole. So these are for your higher strings, so the G, B, and E strings. So take that into consideration when you're plotting these down in. I would have forgotten. So I'm glad I looked it up. So info for you, anybody who's using Gotoh tuner heads, check that out. It might be beneficial. So let's fix these in. So it came also with additional hole markers or hole parts. Actually 2 sets. It came with this set and also this set. I'm not too sure why it came with 2 sets, but hey, I'm not going to turn down free stuff. I think they're exactly the same as well. I'm just checking. Actually, no, I'm sorry, they're not exactly the same. These ones are a bit shallower. So depending on what kind of guitar you have, use the deeper ones or the shallower ones. So that's actually a good thought again from Gotoh. So they put the sticker on to make sure you're putting the right tuner in the right hole. And so you take the string radius into consideration, and they put in the, I'm not too sure what those are called, these whole parts here, where the little shallow part goes. But if anybody can tell me if there's a proper name for it, let me know. I would have just said maybe what I'd call these buttons. Call them buttons. If they're not called buttons, please let me know in the comments. So they came with new screws. I think they're exactly the same as the original screws, but if I get new screws, I just use the new screws. Right, so I got the screw bag open and we're going to start. And this is one that has the green sticker on it, so this will be the very high E string. This one does not have a sticker on it, so I'll just put that there for now. This one does also not have a green sticker on it, but it's an N piece, so this will obviously be the low E string. Another green sticker, so we'll make this the E string, and no sticker one, so this will be D, and then the final one, green sticker. So, and as you see, these they line up perfectly, and the holes are right where the original drilled holes should also be. So that's fantastic. I'm just gonna start screwing these in. Now, one thing I've learned over the years as well is when you're doing this kind of work, it's actually really beneficial to just use a normal screwdriver. Don't use an electric one. I've had some bad experiences with that, where the actual top of the head of the screw has just been like torn off, or it strips the screw completely, and it's a real tricky time to get the screw out again. You know, if you strip your screw, you're gonna have a bad time. So it really is worth just taking the extra couple of minutes and, you know, doing it manually. Consider this a passion, a hobby. Take the time, don't try to harm your guitar. Unless you're Pete Townsend, of course, then that's your daily bread, among other things. So I'm going to fast forward this a little bit. So check that out. I didn't have to do any drilling, big holes, small holes, nothing, and they all fit perfectly in line. They still have that kind of vintagey look, but they're locking tuners. I like Gotoh. They even put like little pieces of plastic on top of the actual locking part here. That's, I mean, I think these might be a little bit more expensive than your average ones, but I think they're definitely worth it. So let's have a look at the other side. And as you can see, I think the height is absolutely perfect. I think they would have to be. And you can see, I don't know if you can barely see that, but these ones are a bit lower down than these top ones, obviously, because that's going to be, some of the strings are going to be held by this peg here. So, like I said, that's also a very good consideration of Gotoh, to consider that when putting it in. So finally, I suppose we better string it up. On a Fender, people always use 9 to 42s, I think. I like 1046. I always prefer it a bit chunky. My standard strings are 10 to 46. I think Stevie Ray Vaughan used I think he used 50s? Please, fact check me on this one. I'm not too sure, but I know he used really thick strings on his Fender Strat. So, just because it's a Strat, you don't have to put light strings on it. If you want to go chunky, go chunky. So, I'm just going to do this real quick, just to show you how simple this is. So, especially if you don't drop the string. If you drop your string, you're going to have a bad time. Okay. Normally this is faster, believe me. This is... Okay. So, it's in there, and pull it up, just sort of kind of line up the hole a little bit. Wow, these are actually kind of hard to move initially, but... So make sure that the hole is, or the peg is completely unlocked, unscrewed at the bottom. Pull it through, make sure that the string is all the way through as well. Pull it a little bit, and just wrap it around there so it grips a bit, and then you tune it up there, or not tune it up, but you lock it up, and you're done. And just turn it like you normally would. So, that's it. And then you cut this piece off. I mean, there you go. I put a string on. And so, you can literally restring your entire guitar. I don't know, if you speed time it, fast run it, like in those Mario games, you can probably do it in a minute? 2 minutes. Alright, let's say 2 minutes with tuning and cutting the wires and everything. Cutting the strings. By the way, just some additional info. If anybody else has a 56 vintage Strat, I noticed that the E string, the low E string, was not staying in tune. Or it was staying in tune, but it just sounded weird. And I noticed then finally that it was the intonation. I really haven't had many guitars where I've had to set the intonation, but this one was really bad. It was almost half a key off. It was almost an E flat. So I adjusted the intonation, and since then it's fantastic. I've also changed the pickups, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, that's my review to the Gotoh tuners. I think super easy to install. That was just a couple of minutes. And I think they'll probably really help with tuning stability. Finally, also, my gas leak of the week is try out the Planet Waves locking head tuners. These are really cool, especially when I first actually put some strings in and tuned them up. I locked them in and started turning it, and if you can just... These are the Planet Waves ones. And as soon as you actually start turning the peg to pull the string out, it actually just cuts the string itself. So there's a tiny little sharp knife or piece in there, and it just cuts the string off really clean. So there's no pointy bits, no pointy cables, strings sticking out. So I thought these were really cool. The back is plasticky. It feels a bit cheap, but I tell you what, for tuning, and this is tuned down to a drop C, and I didn't really have to set it up or anything, just the bridge a little bit, and this holds tune like you wouldn't believe. This had stock Gibson tuners on it before, and it went out of tune really quickly if I was tuning down. And since I've had these, no problem. It's really good. I can leave this guitar sitting for a week or two. It's maybe a tiny bit out of tune, but nothing like it used to be. So and just during playing as well, it just keeps it really well. So gas leak of the week, try out Planet Waves tuners. They're really good. And also just generally, maybe if you haven't done it before, check out locking head tuners. I mean, there's a reason that they're cool. They are. Anyway, thanks everybody. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. And my name's Jack, and as you can see, I still have a serious case of gas.